So we're starting a new series this morning, and as we start a new series, we're going to start the sermon off a new way. This is going to be fun, or at least I think it's going to be fun. We're going to see what you guys think about it. Here's what I want everybody to do. I want everybody to get out their mobile device. I don't care if it's a smartphone. I don't care if it's a dumb phone. I don't care if it's a flip phone. And look, here's the thing. If you have a flip phone, know this. I truly think you're the bee's knees. Like, you are the coolest cat in town. I wish that I had a flip phone. That is so true. But I want some participation in this. So when you have your phone, whoever has it, hold it up high. I want to make sure that we all have it. Okay? All right. Now, here's what I want you guys to do. I want you to turn your ringer on. Now, no, for us millennials, this is going to cause a lot of anxiety, okay? Because my worst nightmare is this thing to ring in a crowd of people when it's not supposed to, all right? But I want everybody to turn their ringer on, and I want you to turn that volume all the way up. All the way. I want to be as loud as possible, all right? We're gonna play a little game here, okay? And there's a prize for you, okay? There is an incentive to win. There's a very nice St. Peter's coffee mug right here, all packaged for you. You can get the hospitality cards afterwards and pour some coffee in. But here's what I want, okay? Here's what we're going to do when I say go, okay? I want you to call somebody else in this church. But, hold on, there's two rules. It cannot be anybody from your family, and it cannot be anybody that you are sitting with, okay? Here we go. The ringer that goes off first wins it. On your mark, get set, go. Where's it coming? Who got the call? Was that Maggie? Did you get the call? Maggie wins the very first coffee mug. And we had Megan Surrey that called it. Let's give our tech-addicted friends a round of applause, please. Oh. Our friends have our backs, don't they? Very, very good. Here's the crazy thing, y'all. First of all, you can turn off your ringers, okay? Turn that anxiety off, guys, all right? Here's a confession. I never truly turned mine on. I was afraid one of you were going to call me. Here's the crazy thing, is that 20, 25 years ago, that was not possible, right? Phones ringing in church, or really phones in church, wasn't a thing. Now, I know that many of you guys think that I'm a young buck, and that's okay. I'm going to milk that for as long as I can. But I remember when phones used to be attached to the walls. Anybody remember that? Right? Now, here's the crazy thing, is that when phones were attached to the wall, it gave you the radius of about this, okay? Now, you know me. This is not enough for me. Right? When I'm preach, I'm all the way over there. This is not good. So my parents upgraded our house, and they bought one of those 30-foot long cords. You know what I'm talking about? They went from the phone all the way down to the floor. And they were really good once. Because what did they do afterwards, right? They curled up in this ball, and there is nothing that you could do to get that telephone cord untangled. It was a catastrophe. But you could cook dinner and talk on the phone at the same time. That had never been done before. This is a true story. My parents did not want to get a cordless phone. So I put our family on my high school back. Okay, and I used my hard-earned high school dollars, and I bought the family on my shoulders. I bought the family the very first cordless phone, and I installed it, and I attached it to the wall, and I could talk to my friends in my room without my parents knowing about it. Or so I thought, right? I'm a parent now. I know that probably wasn't the case, but it made me feel good, right? Now, here's the crazy thing. I think the crazy thing is that we call these things phones. That is the most ridiculous thing to me. I looked at it. I looked at my phone usage for this past week, and I used this thing about 2 hours and 17 minutes per day. I talked on the phone for approximately 4 minutes every day. And I'm assuming that was the call back to my wife that I was on my way home, which is crazy because we have Life 360, and she was like, I know that you're on your way home. You've already left, right? But I feel like I have this obligatory call to let her know that I'm on the way home. Anybody rather text than call? Raise your hand. Like if you rather text than call, okay? Raise your hand if you rather call than text. You are my nightmare. I am afraid you are going to call me. That's it. I much rather text, and this is why these memes here hit really close to home to me. It says this, me waiting for the phone call to end so I can text them back, asking what they needed, right? That's me. I'm just waiting until that phone stops ringing. This is truly me. People who call instead of text and me like hiding, like please don't. This is my favorite. The best time to call me is text message. We rather call, we rather text, but to call these things phone is crazy, right? Because there's so much more than just a phone. It's like if you would call a Lamborghini a cup holder, right? Like, do Lamborghinis have cup holders? Yeah. Is that why people buy them? No. Right? Is this thing a phone? Yeah. Is that why people buy these things? No. I'm assuming that you've heard a story, the articles about just how complicated these little phones make life, right? And I'm a millennial. I grew up with them. I remember a time without them, but I grew up with them, and I'm the first to say that it certainly complicates things at times. But here's what the phones have made us. The phones have made us overly accessible, and I truly mean that. Like, we are overly accessible. Overly accessible, but hardly available. Overly accessible, but hardly available. My guess is that you know the difference between being accessible and available. I want you to keep that distinction in your mind as we walk through the message. We are starting a new teaching series. We just got through with the book of Genesis, but now we are diving into Isaiah 41, verse 10, with the theme Here for You. Now, here's the cool part about this. This is the first time in a long time that the school and the church have combined preaching efforts, because this is the theme for the school. The theme for the school is Here for You, based on Isaiah 41:10, which means that what the students hear in chapel on Wednesdays is tied to what we hear in worship on the weekends. The church and school's preaching efforts are together. And what we're going to look at is that we're going to look to dissect this verse and look at the different phrases and the different clauses and mine the gold that is Isaiah 41:10. Now, because we're combining efforts, it would make sense to me that this would be kind of a memory verse for us, right? Just like the kiddos have memory verses, this is going to be our memory verse. So if you will, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for us. Will you read this with me? So, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. All right. Sometimes we say verse 10. Sometimes we just jump straight to 10. It's confusing for followers of Jesus what you say at the end. But that is Isaiah 41:10. But as is all Scripture, context is king, right? What's going on in Isaiah that prompts this verse? God's people, the Israelites, were living in exile at this point in time. They were living in Babylon. They were living in a foreign land under a foreign government. Gone were the days of King David. Gone were the days of King Solomon. In with the days of King Cyrus, right? In with the days of the Babylonian Empire. And if you read through Isaiah, it's like God's people, they knew that God was accessible, but they didn't think that he was available. They knew that God was accessible, but they didn't think that he was available. What's the difference, right? The difference would be, for many millennial parents, me one of them, I'll make fun of myself, we usually take kids to the playground, right? And what do? have fun. And then we go over here and we scroll our phone, right? And we are accessible, but we're not available, right? Our kid could break a leg, we wouldn't know it, but we know the new TikTok trend, right? Just in case that's important, right? My guess is that you've been in a conversation with somebody that was accessible, but not available. You've been at the dinner table with somebody that was accessible, but not available. Heck, you could have been probably talking to me at some point in time, and I was accessible and not available. That's what the Israelites are thinking of God. They're like, good, God, I know that you promised to be with me. Like, I know that, but it seems that you're accessible, but you're not available. It seems like we're on the playground, and you're over in the corner, like scrolling TikTok, right? You are too preoccupied with the Babylonians in making them successful and building their empire on our own back. They thought that God was accessible, but not available. And it's into that context that Isaiah pens Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, that first phrase, for I am with you. God is here for you. That's what he's saying. He's saying, in the midst of exile, I'm there with you. In the midst of everything going on around, I am with you. It's a promise. It's an encouragement that God is giving to his people. And they need not fear because God's presence is with them. Friends, this is the exact same thing that God promises you. Through the waters of your baptism, God promises you that he's with you. The promise that's attached to baptism is God is with you always until the very end of the age. Until the very end of the age, which is like always, right? God is always with you. He is here for you. And he is here for you through the person of Jesus Christ. When Jesus came to this earth, he literally came for you. He was here on earth for you. He died for you. He rose for you. He ascended for you. That same promise that God gives us in Isaiah 41:10 is a promise to you. You need not fear life if you feel like you're in exile or whatever, because God is with you. God is not just accessible in your life, like he's far off in the distance. No, he's available. He is here for you. And this idea of being available, not just accessible, is becoming increasingly important in what many people are calling a post-Christian world. Because everybody knows what it's like for somebody to be accessible. Not many people know what it's like for somebody to be available for you. Everybody sits across meeting tables with people being accessible. Right? Not many people sit across the dinner table with somebody being available. There's a difference. Now, what we want to do is that we want to put back before you our Vision 2028. As we get back into school here, we have a vision of what the future of St. Peter's looks like. And we have motives that go with that vision. And one of the motives is compelling community. It's available, not just accessible. Here's what compelling community says. It says, making space for people where the gospel is shared and revealed through real life. Everybody knows what it's like for somebody to be accessible. We, as the church, we want not just to be accessible, but available. Now, I want to use the rest of my remaining time that I have to make 3 points. To make 3 points about a compelling community. That you need friends. That you need friends who share your faith. And you need friends who share your faith because they are the presence of God in your life. It probably comes of perhaps no surprise to a lot of us that the world is drifting on into loneliness. Loneliness and a lack of social connection is becoming the norm. A lot of scientists got together and studied, actually, what does loneliness do to our bodies? And here's the results that they found. Number one, a lack of social connection is akin to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day or having an alcohol use disorder. Number two, lack of social connection is twice as harmful to a body than obesity is. Number three, a lack of social connection increases someone's risk of dementia by 40%. And number four, 25% of people don't have a close confidant. Like, do the math, right? 1, 2, 3, sorry, no friends, right? 1, 2, 3, sorry, man, you got nobody, right? The math works out here. Now, this might surprise you, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you know the effects of loneliness all too well. Maybe perhaps you know the need for a compelling community, the need for friends. I have some pretty fond memories of going to the Gulf of Mexico when I was a young boy. My grandparents had a house on the beach, and we would go almost every weekend so that we could be on the beach. And I remember growing up there, and just like every other big body of water, the Gulf of Mexico has a current, right? And I remember splashing in the water as a boy. I remember diving in through the waves. I remember getting jellyfish stings, right? I remember hopping on the inflatables, right, and having so much fun. And I remember at the very end of it, I would look up, and my family had moved. And I thought to myself, that is the craziest thing. Why would my family get up and move on me? Until I realized that I was the one that moved. That the current had slowly taken me further and further down the shoreline. And when I looked up, no one was there. I want you to think of culture much like that. If loneliness is the norm, culture has a way of becoming a current and slowly taking you further and further down the shore until you look up and there's no one. We need friends. We need to fight the current of culture for friends. I love how Eugene Peterson puts it. This is one of my favorite quotes. He says this, there can be no maturity in spiritual life, no obedience in following Jesus, no wholeness in the Christian life apart from immersion in and embrace of community. And then he ends the whole thing by saying this, I am not myself by myself. I love that. I am not myself by myself, which means that, guys, you need to bring somebody over to watch the football game with, right? Ladies, you need to bring somebody to go shopping with. #science says so, right? We need to have people to watch the Olympics together, to watch Simone Biles flip 9 times across the mat and 9 times in the air at the same time. I don't know. That's crazy. Right? We need to have friends with us to watch Stephen take off of his glasses, becoming Clark Kent into Superman, and be on that pommel horse and win the men's gymnastics, their first medal in a really long time, right? We need to have people to watch the USA basketball team with and absolutely dominate everybody else, right? We need friends. But for us as followers of Jesus, it goes so much deeper than that. Because we need friends who share our faith. We need friends who we can be vulnerable with and honest and not have any fear that they're going to leave the table from what we tell them. Who we can confess with and know that they will abide and help us through. Those are the type of friends that you can call when your dad gets stage 4 lung cancer, and they're going to show up. They're going to be available, not just accessible. These are the type of friends that are going to realize that you haven't been in church for a while, and they're just going to show up to your door on a Sunday afternoon, just checking, seeing if you're okay. We need friends who share our faith, because these friends are the oxygen to the flame that is our faith. They provide our faith oxygen to thrive. But it's not just that. For us as followers of Jesus, we know that friends who share our faith bring us the presence of God. Here's the crazy part about God. I mean, I truly mean crazy, because I don't understand why God does this. He's God, I'm not. That's a good thing. But God insists that he is known through broken and sinful people. That boggles my mind. God insists that he is known through broken and sinful people. He insists that he's known through humanity. And that happened when Jesus came and forever fastened his flesh to humanity. And he insisted to be known by other people when he called the disciples. And now he insists that he continually be known through broken and sinful people like you and me. Which means that if you disconnect yourself from the people of God, you remove yourself from his presence. You cannot claim that you want a relationship with Jesus and want nothing to do with his people, want nothing to do with his church. God hasn't set it up that way. That's not how it works. He insists that he's known through broken and sinful people, through you and I. It boggles my mind. With the remaining time that I have left, I want to get really practical, and I want to give you 3 ways that you can do this. Okay? If you're here as a follower of Jesus, you need 3 things for a compelling community. You need a church, you need a group, and you need a person. A church, a group, a person. Here's the role of your church. Your church should always put Jesus before your eyes. Always, no matter what, your church should continually point you to Jesus and the forgiveness of sins, because you need the forgiveness of sins more than you need breath in your lungs. Because at some point in time, you are not going to have breath in your lungs. But you will have the forgiveness of sins. You need a church that continually points you to Jesus. You need a group so that you can go from sitting in rows to sitting in a circle. Here at church, we're in rows, and rows are great. Rows are great. But life happens in a circle. You need a group to let you know that faith is not this life insurance policy that you cash in your dying breath. Faith is lived in every breath that you take on this earth. You need a group beside you to walk alongside you to go through faith with, and it is of no consequence that connect groups are open today. Just to be crystal clear, we as your pastors, we want each and every person in this building in a connect group, because we know that you need a church, we know that you need a group, and we know that you need a person. You need a person that can walk with you, one person that knows everything about you. Now, for some of us, that might be our spouse, and that's good. But here's what I would encourage you. Don't put the whole biblical weight of community on one person. If you want an example of this, look at Timothy and Paul in the New Testament. May we be a people that are not just accessible to others. May we be available, because we know we live in a world of just accessibility. May we be a people who have a church, who have a group, who have a person. May we be a people that create a compelling community here so that others may know just how available God is. Come soon, Lord Jesus. Amen.